Hi everyone, Andre here, and in this second episode of our Play Like a Pro series, I'll be teaching the song Ang Huling Bimbo by Eraserheads. And through this song, I'll demonstrate the proper strumming techniques of your strumming hand, which includes how to hold the pick properly, the continuous strumming pattern, and how to make chord changes seamlessly. And before that, I'll first talk about the chords used in this song, the chord pattern, and the overall structure of the song. So to play this song, we first need to go down to E flat tuning, which means from standard E tuning, we go down one note in all of the strings. So to do that, we're gonna be needing a tuner. So I'll teach you how to do it. The first thing we need to do is use the chromatic setting, which is indicated by the C there. Means it's in chromatic tuning. So usually you'll be in the G tuning for guitar, which makes it easier to tune into standard tuning. But since we're not gonna be playing in standard tuning, we'll be using C or chromatic. So we clip it on, and we're gonna tune down each string by one note or one fret. So we start with the E string, tune it down, then it should be tuned to D sharp, which is the note below E. So we do that to the A string too. A to G sharp, D string, tune down by one note. Tune down one note to C sharp. Right there at the center. G string, tune it down. That will be F sharp. F sharp, so the B string. Tune it down. It's gonna be the A sharp note now. E, the high E string. Go down to D sharp again. There. So we turn off our tuner. Now we can play this song in the correct tuning. We'll still be using the same chord shapes that you're familiar with, but they're gonna sound different now because they're gonna be played one note down. So the G shape, for example, it's gonna be an F sharp major chord now. And it also applies to all the other chords we'll be using. So now that we're zoomed in, I can show you the chords in the song. There's a total of only 4 chords throughout the whole song, which is G major, A7, C major, and E minor. So for G major, we have our middle finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string. Then our pointer finger on the 2nd fret of the A string. Then we play the D and the G string open, just let that ring out. Then we put our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And lastly, our pinky finger also on the 3rd fret, now on the high E string. So that's our 4-finger G major chord. Next is the A7 chord. So muted E string, we don't play that. I like to use my thumb to mute that. Open A string. Now we put our middle finger on the D string on the 2nd fret. We play the next string open, which is the G string. And for the B string, we put our ring finger also on the 2nd fret. So it's like that. And we play the high E string open. You can play it with your middle and ring finger like I do. Or you can play it with your pointer and your middle finger. I recommend using your middle and ring finger because for the chord progression, it's much easier to change using this fingering. Next, we have the C major chord. So it's a muted low E string again. We use our thumb again. Put our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the A string. We put our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. We play the G string open. We put our index finger on the 1st fret of the B string, and we play the E string open. So that's our C major chord. Lastly, we have the E minor chord. So first we have the open low E string. Then 2nd fret on the A string with our index finger. And on the D string, we also put our middle finger on the 2nd fret. And the rest of the strings, the G, B, and high E, we play that open. So that's our E minor chord. So I forgot to teach the D chord, so I'll teach it now. So our E, low E string, and our A string are muted. We don't play that. So I like to use my thumb to mute that string. We start on the D string. We play that open. The 2nd fret of the G string with our index finger. Then our ring finger on the 3rd fret of the B string. And our middle finger on the 2nd fret of the high E. So it goes like this. Majority of the song, which includes the intro, the verse, and the chorus, even the outro section, it starts with the G major chord to an A7 chord to a C major chord and back to the G major chord. So for the intro, for example, we go G, A7, C major, back to G, play G again, and A7, C, back to G. So that's our intro. When we end on the G chord again, we just play one strum and let it ring out. So now we're in the verse. So The verse, like I said, also uses the same chord progression we used in the intro, but at the first line of the verse will actually be starting on the A7 chord. So the chord progression starts with G. We don't play that at first. We take a brief pause and start on the A7. So that's the line that goes, kamukha mo si Paraluma. So we go back to the start, the G, A7, C, G, and we just continue with that chord progression. So just remember at the very start of the verses, the first line, we don't play the first G major chord of the progression. We start on the A7. Then we just continue throughout the whole progression again and again. So let's play through the pre-chorus now. We go E minor, G, C, D, back to E minor, then G, C, D, so the second time we go through the progression at the end of the pre-chorus, you play the D chord twice as long, like I did there. So let's go through the last line. E minor, G, C, D, now for the last line of the pre-chorus, since we held the D chord for twice as long, we can actually play a D sus4 chord to kind of spice things up a little. So I'll show you how to play that. We just have our D chord and we put our pinky on the 3rd fret of the high E. So D major, D sus4. So it's a great chord for building up towards the chorus, I mean. So twice as long. You go back to the D at the very end to kind of resolve it. So to strum with confidence, you'll first need to know how to hold the pick properly. First, I recommend using a thin pick like this. This is about a 0.7 in thickness, and as you can see, it's quite pliable and flexible, so there's a lot of give when you strum the strings. So not a lot of resistance. And to hold it properly, we put it first at the side, the flat side of our index finger like this. So there's a lot of surface area to grip onto, and we kind of curl our finger inward like that, and we just place our thumb on top of it. You know, it's not going anywhere if you do that. So how do we strum with our strumming hand properly? The motion is like this, right? So Rhett Shull, also a YouTuber here on YouTube, who teaches and talks about guitar, as a motion where you're kind of shaking water out of your hands to dry it. So like that. Your wrist is loose, and we put our forearm into the motion. So it's not just our wrist doing the strumming, it's our whole forearm there. So next up, a lot of beginners have trouble playing the up strums. Alternately from the down strums. I mean. So the technique for that is we have to adjust our hand very slightly, um, so that um, it's easier for the other side of the pick to come into contact with the other strings. So to do that, we just have to rotate our wrist a little. So when we down strum, our wrist is rotated upwards towards us, so that it's easier for the pick to hit the strings. To go to the up strum, we can't just stay in that position because it's really hard to strum upwards with that pick angle. So we need to rotate our wrist downward, so away from us, so that the angle of the pick is much easier to strum. So that's how you alternate strum with that motion, rotating the wrist. So now we can talk about the strumming pattern of the song. There are only two different strumming patterns. First is for, the intro, the verse, and the chorus, and the la 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 parts. The G, A7, C major, and G major progression. So here's the strumming pattern. I'll try to play it slowly, focusing on the strumming hand now that we got our chords down. So it's down, 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 up, up, down, 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 up, up, down, down. So the first two down strums is slower, and when you go to the third down strum, then the two up strums, then the two down strums after that, it's much quicker. So we go slow first. Then it goes faster at the second part. So that's the strumming pattern for the vast majority of the song. So it's play it slower. It's a little tricky, but playing it slowly really helps you get the groove of it. Now let's talk about the strumming pattern in the pre-chorus. So that's the E, G, C, D progression before the chorus. In this section of the song, it goes to all downstrokes. But there's a way to play it properly that it doesn't sound as monotonous as doing all the downstrokes would. We do this by accenting specific downstrums to vary up the rhythm. So I'll demonstrate it first. So with the E, if you see what I did there's the full strum and kind of a half or a mini strum in between. That sounds much better to my ear, at least, than doing the whole strumming pattern, whole down strums like this. this really helps build up to the chorus, which is what the pre-chorus is supposed to do. So it's just all down strums again, but we alternate in how we accent or strum the chord. So it's just alternating from a full strum to kind of a half strum. You also play the full strum a little louder and the half strum a little softer. So I'll go through the progression, show you the chords here. Another strumming technique you can incorporate to this song to make the chord transitions much more seamless and smooth is this. I'll demonstrate it first. What I did there when I was changing chords from G to A7 is I played a strum in between while I was changing chords. This technique really works well with open chords. Try to focus on not putting a lot of emphasis on this transition strum because we don't want it to interfere or become the focus of the progression or the strumming pattern. Think of it as just a way to link the chords better while we're still strumming, and to also give us much more time to place our fingers in the proper position. So I'll demonstrate it and highlight where I put that transition strum. Also note that it's important to play this a little softer so that it doesn't stick out. So I'll demonstrate it here. 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 Transition. Next chord. Next chord. Next chord. So just a little down strum. You know, try to make it subtle. And make it a part of the strumming pattern. Use this if you have trouble changing chords quickly and in time. But it's also a good technique to learn. It's a good technique to learn if you're playing open chords and strumming in these positions. So let's play through the song, starting with the intro. Starts with the G. A7, C, G. Do it again. Let the G ring out. Kamukha mo si A7, C, G, G again, A7, C, repeat the whole thing. Pre-chorus. E minor. G. C. D. Pre-chorus. E minor. G. C. D. E minor. G. C. D. D sus 4. D. Now to the chorus. G. Again. And we end the chorus on one strum on the G. Then after that, it's the verse again, and just keep repeating the chord progression with the song structure. Now we're done with the lesson. I hope you enjoyed learning that song. It's a very popular song and song that I really like, and it's a great song to learn how to strum properly. And I hope you enjoyed it, and after this episode we'll have one more, which will be on alternate flat picking technique. So see you next time. Thanks again for watching.